You're tuning in to the Goldilocks presentation of the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show with Anthony Rodriguez. Anthony Rodriguez, aka Walking Crow, found transformational energy healing through a personal search into healing and was transformed by this experience. He made the decision to pursue training and has since become a certified energy healing practitioner with an emphasis on working with clients in recovery from addiction. His willingness to be open and listen has allowed him to be of service to many who seek a peaceful, serene, and healthier body, mind, and spirit. Call in now if you would like to speak with Anthony. The call-in number is 713-955-0332. Enjoy this transformational and healing show.
Well, hello there. Welcome to the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. My name is Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow. And I'd like to welcome you to another Tuesday. All right. It's a little cold in Los Angeles today. We've had a lot of rain. There's snow-capped mountains on the San Gabriels, and it's just another beautiful day. Today is going to be a special show. In fact, from here for the next 4 to 5 weeks, I'm going to have a different guest on every week. Today, joining me is friend, teacher, master shaman, Reverend Emma Molina-ynequez. She's a friend of mine, and she's a teacher, and I refer to her as a master shaman. And she's somebody who is very dear, close to me, and we enjoy a lot of time together where I learn a lot about who I am and what I am and where it is I'm going. Also, next week, Jeannie Love, another friend, teacher, master shaman. She's an incredible healer. She spends a lot of time healing the earth in places like Wounded Knee and other places like that. And she's a medium, psychic medium, healer. And I'm excited to be having her on the show next week. In fact, today is her birthday, so happy birthday, Jeannie. I don't know if you're listening, but happy birthday, and it's such a pleasure to have you in my life. And in 3 weeks, we're going to have Master Seal, who is another friend of mine, friend, teacher, master shaman. And he is a kahuna from Hawaii. He's a holy man, and an incredible healer. And we have lunch once a week or once every couple of weeks. And I just get to spend an incredible time with him as a friend, and more than anything, and learning to be with another man in friendship and in a spiritual way, and just in trust. That's a thing that I've had issues with over a lifetime, and I have more men in my life, and I love having a man like Master Seal in my life as well. And in 4 weeks, we'll be talking to Marsh Engel, who is somebody who I consider a friend, a teacher, master, and a shaman. And she's an incredible writer. She is a healer. She's involved with the Million Women March, and she was just in Washington over the weekend for the Women's March there, and it was such a pleasure. I took her to the airport, and it was a pleasure to be able to do that. And finally, in 5 weeks, I'm going to have our producer, Tiffany White, who is an incredible medicine woman. She is a producer of this show and many shows, and I respect who she is and what she does, and I'm going to be so excited to be able to talk to a new teacher, master shaman, a friend of mine, and I'm excited to have her on the show as well. But first, this week, Emma Molina-ynequez, Reverend Emma Molina-ynequez, she's a 2-time breast cancer survivor who has been challenged, taught, and healed by the transformational experience in 1994 and 1997. Emma is a gifted intuitive massage therapist, spiritual guide, and minister, a shamanic healer. For over 22 years, her practice has been her ministry. She's a graduate of Massage School of Santa Monica in 1995, LMT 22 years, ordained minister 2001, 16 years ago, and shamanic healer anointed by Lady Eagle Feather in 2010 by Dr. Sharon Stroud, New Thought Ministries in Palm Springs. Business owner of Body and Soul Massage for 22 years and still going strong. She was also co-owner of Body and Soul and Kelina Boutique with her daughter Victoria. It's a storefront bodywork, which she was open to. She had open mic nights, workshops. Independent practitioners were able to come in and work there, and she shared a sacred space in the foothills of La Crescenta, California. She's an intuitive body worker, spiritual guide, counselor, wedding officiant, and I know about that because she married me and my wife 2 years ago today. Shaman, medicine woman, and healing minister. I'd like to welcome Emma to the show. I know she's out there and she's ready to come on. And Emma, how you doing today?
Hi, Antonio. Yes, I am excited to be here with you today.
I'm excited to have you.
I know, and I love the list of masters and teachers and friends and walking buddies and lunch buddies that you are surrounded by and surround yourself with. And this is very important as healers, right?
It sure is. I was, as a younger person, I repelled from teachers as if from a hot flame. I didn't want to have anything to do with anybody who wanted or tried to teach me anything because, you know, us young people think we know it all. But with time and wisdom comes wisdom. And I've learned that the more teachers I have, the better person I try to be, and the more I want to be a better person. So thank you for being a friend of mine.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's really ironic is that, you know, for all our fears of whatever it is we're afraid of, it comes full circles and then we become it, or we conquer it, or we do something with it, right? Like lemons to lemonade. So whether you were afraid or frightened by teachers, you became one. So I like that spiritual ha-ha.
Right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So I love how the universe works. I love how God speaks to us and says, okay, whatever you think, that's cool. And then later on, we're taught, you know, who we really are. So thank you for allowing me to be your friend.
Sure thing. Real quick, I want to remind the callers and those listening, call-in number is 713-955-0332. Push 1 to get out of listen mode, and that'll let our producers know that you want to ask Emma a question or me a question, or you might have something to say to the both of us or one of us. Doesn't matter. Emma, I remember the day we met. I went to go hear Michael. I can't think of his last name. Speak at your
Michael
place.
Benner?
Michael Benner. Yes. Speak at Body and Soul. And I remember walking in and I was introduced to you by a friend of ours, an actress, Kike. And she's also a client of mine, and probably a client of yours too. She said that I should connect with you, and we connected over Facebook. And I walked in to hear Michael Brenner, and there you were. You greeted me as I walked in, and you said, "Manos are loose," and you shook my hand, and I felt a charge of electricity go halfway up my arm, and I thought, "I'm home. I'm home."
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And I remember that day clear as a bell, and we have been friends and friends ever since. And I am honored, and I honor your medicine, and I honor the person, the beautiful woman that you are to me. And Crow Mother, Lady Eagle Feather.
Crow Mother.
Crow Mother, yeah. So, for those who are listening, Emma is the person who gave me my name, Walking Crow. And I was honored by that in April, and she anointed me that day as well when I stepped through the veil to the other side of the work that I do and the person that I am and the person that I'm becoming and have always been. I should say that I've always been. So thank you, Emma. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
we were destined to meet.
That's true. So Emma and I spend just about every Wednesday or Friday walking the Rose Bowl, and we share back and forth the things that are happening in our lives and how things happened, and it's a real blessing to be able to do that. And so much has come out of that for me, and I'm assuming for you too, because we get pretty deep in those walks, and not everybody gets to do that. And I have been blessed in so many ways by that. And we started doing that I think a couple of years ago. I think it's been over 2 years now that we've been doing that. some amazing experiences, and I got to see things that I never noticed before, and you got to watch me see those things and watch me grow, and I got to watch you grow as a teacher and watch and just experience you in such an amazing way. So tell us how you got into the massage healing aspect of what you do, because I know you're not just a massage therapist, because I've been on your table. You are a massage spiritual guide in the most magnificent way. Can you tell us how you got started?
Sure. I'll tell you a little bit about my journey. And it started as you started your introduction about me, which is the 2-time breast cancer survivor. And breast cancer really transformed me. I had a mother who died of lung cancer, a sister who died of breast cancer, and then there I was, being diagnosed with this. But I knew that I wasn't going to die. I knew that something had to be stopped, like maybe my mother couldn't or my sister couldn't. But I have daughters and I have granddaughters, and so this transformational experience, and I know it's not for everyone. I know lots of people don't get to do that, but you can, and I did. And while the doctor was giving me my diagnosis, he said was I had carcinoma in site 2. Now, that's Greek to me. But what I heard was incarcerated inside of you.
Oh.
And being bilingual or being, listening on a slant, I don't know, but that made sense to me. What he had said to me was Greek. I had no idea, but what I heard, and it was the first time that I heard something so strongly and so profoundly that there was 2 voices going on at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a brother who was schizophrenic, so I know about 2 voices going on at the same time. But mine was a little different because it quieted down the other voice. When the doctor was diagnosing me, all I heard was Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah. But at the same time, this beautiful, strong voice from inside of me, my voice, my higher voice, whatever it was. So that became my journey, and then I went to seek a massage therapist because I was scared. I was scared because I had no idea what was going on with me, physically, emotionally, all which way. Didn't want to, burden my husband any more than I did with the second bout of cancer. So I went to a massage therapist. They have you fill out those forms, and on the form there's a contraindicator. Are you pregnant? Do you have AIDS? At that time, AIDS and cancer were like a contraindicator. I had no idea what that meant. That they thought in those days you could spread it, you can catch it, you can do multiple things. So when she said, "I'm sorry, I'm afraid I can't help you," I went home and I got really angry, as I do with God, because that's in the room besides myself.
I don't understand.
Right. We do these things, and it's not God's fault. It's it's a part of our humanness to not know where to go with our anger. So that's where I went, and I heard this other voice say, "Get up from your knees and become it. Become the massage therapist that you're seeking."
Oh.
What? So that began the next journey of finding a school, doing this and doing that. But while I was on the table, my body was transforming. My emotions, the emotions I had denied all my life, incarcerated inside of you, was starting to surface. They were coming out crazy. And then I met one of my clients who ended up being my teacher, and she had Reiki. She knew what to do, and from there, it's been a long journey, and I just started to listen. And one of the things I do know is that if you go within, you never go without.
And what I'd like to with that, I'm didn't mean to interrupt you, but because there's something I started doing a couple of weeks ago, and I want to do it at this moment, and then we'll go. I would like you to continue in that story, but I want us to put our feet flat on the floor, and if you're standing and you're listening, I'd like you to just stand still and just allow your arms to hang and close your eyes, and I want you to take a deep breath, but just don't take it into your lungs. I'm going to ask you, Emma, and everybody listening to take it into their body, down to their feet, and allow when they take a breath in to stoke that fire of the third chakra. The third chakra is just below the sternum, above the belly button, and that's our fire, our fuego. I can, I will, I do, our esteem. So when you take that breath and it stokes that fire, you take it into the lungs and past the lungs into that place. I'm going to ask you to allow that to expand, that fire to expand while it's being stoked by the oxygen you're taking, and allow it to expand and heat up the water in the second chakra below, and allow it to heat that and boil over and create esteem, and allow that esteem to rise to your third chakra, and allow it to warm to your third chakra, allow it to warm your heart. So go ahead and let's take a deep breath. Stoking that fire. Exhale. And one more time. Inhale all the way down to your feet. Through the second chakra and down to the first. And exhale. Stoking that fire. Allowing the esteem to rise. And one more time. Inhale. Really deep. And exhale. All right. 713-955-0332 is a call-in number. And we're here with Reverend Emma Molina-ynequez, teacher, master, shaman, and very close and dear friend of mine. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, Emma, but I've felt over the last few weeks that taking these little breaks every 15 minutes to breathe like that is good for myself and the audience.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that.
Yeah. In fact, while you were doing that exercise, when you talk about the third chakra, we know, that it's connected to our intuition. And that is where my information came from. So thank you for stoking that fire in the second chakra, and bringing the esteem, the esteem that we need. But the word that I was hearing over and over as I was breathing in and breathing out is the word intuition. And the root word is into it. Into it. And that's where we go. We get into it. And we listen from it. And we learn from it. It says when we pray, how we talk to God is through prayer. How God talks to us or speaks to us is through intuition.
Oh.
So thank you for those breaths. I needed it.
Oh.
We all need it.
So you right before we did that, you had just finished talking about why you became a massage. And I don't want to call you a massage therapist. Like I said, you're more than a massage therapist. You're a spiritual massage healer. I want to say. I don't know what. I don't want to put a title on it because that wouldn't do it justice. That wouldn't do the medicine that you have justice at all.
Yeah.
So, and also, tell me. Wow. So tell me about when you became anointed, when you were anointed Lady Eagle Feather. And that was am I correct, by Sharon Stroud?
Yes, Dr. Sharon Stroud at the time when I was ordained by her, she was in Pasadena. And the center was called the Center of Celebration of Life. I mean, who wouldn't gravitate to something like that, right? And especially while you're seeking whatever you're seeking, walking through the streets of Pasadena, and I walked into a senior center in South Pasadena, and there she was, bright as day and glowing with this white, bright light. Like I've never seen anything like it. And she welcomed me in. They all welcomed me in. And that was different from the churches I had attended as a child, with so much dogma and fear and things of that nature. Now, I've always loved God, so I was just finding God everywhere. You know that. We do our walks and our hikes and walking through Descanso and in the forest. You know, it's everywhere. But back in that time when I was afraid and, you know, dealing with cancer and what was in me that would create it not once but twice, I participated in it. So I knew that I had to participate in its healing too. And so I came across this, but she knew who I was from the day we met, and I knew who she was. And from that, we created a relationship, and she became one of my massage clients, as did my other shaman women. And so I became a minister to ministers. Well, you know, where do ministers go to be healed? Right? You know that. And so began my journey. And then one day, as I was working in a chiropractic office, the Catholic Church, Holy Redeemer, came in and bought 7 gift certificates for their teachers. And I felt as if I had arrived. because now the Catholic Church was coming to me because they heard of the work that I had done, the work that I was doing, and I just felt like I, you know, had some kind of seal of approval from the church that I was connected to as a child. And so here I was just minding my own business, literally doing my own work. But through all the work that I have done, most of my teachers have been on my table at one time or another. And so I've been thrilled and gifted that way. And the shaman part of it is when I was sick, I went to Mexico and met a yoga instructor. First time ever taking yoga. And it was in Mexico, in Puerto Vallarta. And this guy just brought tears to my eyes because he said, there's someone in this room who's sick. And that person was me. And he came up to me and he said, so, you know, who are you? And at that time I was just, you know, just beginning my massage practice. And he goes, no. You know, what do you do? ¿Qué haces? What do you do? And I said, well, you know, sometimes I use stones, sometimes I use feathers, sometimes I, you know, just feel things and hear things. And he said, tú eres un shaman. He said, well, go back to the States and put that on your card. Like, what? Yeah, put that on your business card, he said, and then see what happens. And it came from my own people, right? He's a Mexican, I'm a Mexican, I'm in Mexico. And this all started to be part of my healing. And so therefore, you know, it made sense. And then when I met Dr. Sharon, she knew who I was. And then she asked me to meditate on my name. And the name Lady Eagle Feather just came to me. And there we were. At the age of 50, I was being, on my birthday, anointed Lady Eagle Feather from Dr. Sharon Stroud.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Kind of like what happened to you.
Well, you know what's interesting? People ask all the time. They ask me, you know, well, how do you become a shaman? I'm like, I don't know. I said, I know that one day I was in the sweat lodge because I that's my practice. And as we were going, as my elder Mazawali Hector was talking to the men that were in the sweat lodge, he thanked. I was pouring water. In fact, it was the day before. You gave me my name and you anointed me, and he referred to me as a medicine man. Now I hadn't been referred to that before then, and and I knew that I had inklings of that, but I wasn't stepping into that power, if you will, into my light in that way. And when he said that, it gave me permission. It literally gave me permission because he's my elder. Then the next day when he was in the room and you were there and Jeannie Love was also there and many friends and family, and you anointed me, it was very clear to me that I was stepping into a big pair of shoes that, and I didn't know what it looked like, and I still don't because it changes every day. And where I work today, I get to talk to people, and they find healing in my words, and that's what I find with our walks. We're walking because you and I seem to mentor each other as medicine man and woman, I wish everybody could experience this, but they can if they chose to. They could if they chose to, because everybody has this within them. I hope.
Yeah. Yes. So true. And, I'm no exception. Even as Jesus the Christ said that even you shall do greater things than I. I believe that there are so many people who have these gifts, and yet we think they look like something else. We think they look like a piece of paper or an education. And education is great. Honest to goodness, it is. But when you tap into the source, tap into your gifts, remember, gifts are talents, and talent is money. Back in biblical times, the talent was money, known as money. And so we need to cash in. We need to value these things that we know that are now is the perfect time to be able to speak, the way that we speak nowadays, whereas before we were seen and not heard. And so all our gifts went dormant until now. And now people are talking and walking, but you have to choose your words correctly, because words can heal and words can kill.
Yeah. One
word can be a blessing, and another could be a curse.
So it's important to listen. No, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was saying it's funny that you said that, because just about every week I say that, as a child I was told to be quiet. I was slapped. I was hit. Go to your room. Shut up. Be quiet. Children should be seen and not heard. And I thank those people who did that to me and said that to me way back, 40 plus years ago, 50 years ago. I thank them because because they told me to be quiet, that I have this show and that I do what I do on YouTube and in front of people, workshops and in classrooms. And like later today I'll be giving a talk. And it's because they told me to be quiet. They tried to stifle my gifts. That same dogmatic place that tried to shut me down, that came looking for Molina-ynequez, were the ones that I thank every day for telling me to be quiet, because it gave me the voice that I have. It gave me the fuego, the fire, even though I had to go inside and rekindle it and find, because I didn't have it for so long. I was lost.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why our emotions are so important. And that's what I work with when people come to me, because you can go anywhere for a massage. But when people are ready, when they're really ready, when they're bursting from their skins, when they're feeling like they're running and they don't know where to run to, that's when they come to me, and that's where the juice lies, because it's like, you're ready. There's not much I need to do. I just need to guide you. Because a lot of us have been misinformed and misguided. So I just take you to what you're saying. I listen to what you're saying. And, being a minister, being a reverend, it gives me that wonderful trust that people can come and, like a confession, right? They can just spill the beans, and I have no judgment. It's not mine. And so we bring this out into the room, into the ethers from which it came. And it could be just one word. I find it fascinating when people say, when I ask them, what do you want? I feel like a genie in a bottle. And I'll ask, what do you want? They'll say peace. I say, what does that mean? And they stop. A lot of us didn't come from peaceful families. We didn't have that. We came from a lot of, I did. I came from an abusive dad who beat my mother. So that's not peace. How do you find peace?
Right.
And so that becomes a personal relationship. Like all relationships is personal. Even your relationship with God, it's personal. What does that mean to you? Not what it is in a book, not what it is in someone's dogma, not what it is that we were told, but what does that mean? Really, what does that mean to you? And from there, we can start, moving things around, because a lot of it is just misinformation, misunderstanding, a misstep.
Oh.
And forgiveness is the healer of all healers. Love is greatest medicine on earth. So,
forgiveness. That's a big medicine.
Oh.
So speaking of forgiveness and speaking of love, let's take another minute and take 3 breaths and let's just sit up straight and close our eyes. And I'm going to ask everybody to just take a breath. Inhale. Stoke that fire of the third chakra. Allow it to grow and heat up that water in the sacred. Exhale. We're going to allow that steam to rise. And inhale all the way down to your feet. And exhale one more time. And last time, inhale. And exhale. 713-955-0332 is a call-in number. If you want to ask Emma a question or have something to say, go ahead and call in. Push 1 to get out of listen mode, and our producers will know that you want to speak to us. So Emma, wow, Healing the Body and Soul. You know, that was a place that I was already doing my work in my workshops in other places, and I was looking for a place of light, if you will, because one of the places that I was doing them was and I'm grateful for this place. There was a young lady who runs an organization. Her name is Starshine, and she runs an organization called the Divine Feline. And she had this place over off of Eagle Rock Boulevard or Verdugo, Avenue like 34 or something, and just a boarded up a storefront, and she lived there too, and it was her studio. She's in design, and so I would have my workshops there, and it was just really dark. The windows were covered up, and there was no light that came in, stagnant air. You know, in the summertime it was just too hot. So I started to reach out, and I was going to galleries and having my events at different galleries around Highland Park, and then once you and I were introduced. We started to work together. I started to hold my workshops, my chakra workshops there at Healing the Body and Soul. And I have to tell you, that was such a blessing because you gave me permission to grow, not just as a healer, but as a teacher and as a student. And to be that, to be a well-rounded teacher, you have to be a well-rounded student. To be a well-rounded student, you have to be a well-rounded teacher, I believe. It's the yin and the yang. It's the ebb and the flow of the learning and the teaching for me. And you gave so many people an opportunity, and you and Victoria at a place to do that kind of work, to do this kind of work, which is wow. I mean, there's no way to thank you because we paid for the space, right? But it was more than that. And thanks isn't enough, So I mean, I whenever I talk about Emma, Reverend Emma, I talk about her in an honorable way. Whenever I talk about Victoria, your daughter, I talk about her in an honorable way because these were people who honored me by allowing me to have a space to do what I do. And thank you for that. And how did that space come about? I mean,
well, my daughter and I, we both came from the fashion industry years and years ago, and she was helping this particular industry or the company she was working for to become a multi-million-dollar company. And every time she did something nice for them, they bonused her, they gave her perks, they gave her raises, and so she was just stocking that money away. And then one day she said she had a vision. And she saw herself, like being a Garmento person. She doesn't smoke, but she said she saw a cigarette hanging out of her mouth and cats all around her. And that would never happen, of course. But so one day she said, I have a little bit of money saved, and I was wondering, Mom, if we could combine our talents. And so she created a boutique because that was her talent. She makes everything beautiful. She, had shoes and bling and things for your kitchen. It was when we came out, it was gangbusters. This was 10 years ago. And nothing like that was up in the foothills. It's a combination of fashion on one side and items and, things of that nature. And then there was the modalities, the massage therapist, the body and soul. And those two started together. And we had a lot of people come in, a lot of looky-loos because they had not seen this kind of healing center. You know, what are you? Who are you? Are you a church? What is it? Our logo was an angel. Actually, it's a female Jesus. We found this in New Mexico, and we took her off the cross and we put her on our doors, and she looked like an angel. People would drive by and say, you know, that looked like Jesus, and what is that, and who are you? And so we had a lot of speculation, a lot of people who were confused about who we were, but we were not. And people would come in and, you know, speculate, come in, buy a little thing, and then find out who we were and what we were doing. And we grew this center, but our main invitation was to all healers in the neighborhood, because I knew out there and that outside of these walls was talent. I call it talent. It's just something, you know, it's a gift that you have. It's your gift. And I know back in the day that this vision was given to me, and I had to wait 15 years before that vision manifested as Galinda and Body and Soul. And we had 3 venues, because then we opened up a stage. It was a platform, a forum, and a stage. And those 3 things I kept hearing for 15 years. Can you imagine going to work every day and hearing this vision, these words, a platform, a forum, and a stage? And then when we opened up, Victoria and I, 10 years ago, it became those 3 venues, a platform, a forum, and a stage. And so we invited people to come in and be who they are, singers, poets, healers, drummers, such as yourself. So it was our joy and pleasure. And plus, right up the street where we used to live in this community in La Crescenta. Kids went to school in La Crescenta. So it made sense that we came back to our community and opened this up in honor of what God has done for us. So it was our pleasure, our joy to be of service. We had open mic there for 7 years with Barbara and Joe Bull. They have beautiful music. We had you and Vanessa as the couple that I had been waiting for and praying for to come in and share your talents as a couple, as a husband and wife, and demonstrate what that looks like to be in partnership to help heal other people and people who seek love, to be able to see what it looks like. So I thank you. I thank you. And especially on your anniversary today.
Yeah, I'm all there.
I was there.
You were witness. You were the bearer of witness, or the bearer of I don't know what words to use for that.
I was a witness. Let's just put it that way. I was a witness to many things, including your love and your healing abilities as a couple. And then when you asked me to marry you both, I was honored. And then your wife asked me to sing, and I was like, oh God, this can go on for days. But so much love. I just love you. I love you. I love Vanessa. I love what this community has done, the people who have come, and that's it. That's in a nutshell.
Yeah, that was just. I used to love. One of the things that I really loved was standing on the west end of that room, the main room, and looking east towards the mountains and watching Mother Earth rise up, from beneath me through the window. And I was, we used to close the curtains to kind of keep from being distracted by the cars and, the foot traffic going by. But I loved having those windows open because of that, just the magnificence of the San Gabriel Mountains. And I got to just be with that. And as much as I'm with earth medicine and plant medicine and being mindful of the things around me when I'm out in nature, that opportunity, I think that's when that really started for me, because I would stand in awe of the magnificence of what was going on out, on the mountain. I was just really drawn to it, so, and I miss that. I miss that view, and I mean, we have that same here in Pasadena and around. We live in the foothills, so we have that view, but not as prominent as it was when you were standing on the inside of that window looking out. It was such an amazing thing to see and to experience. So
same for us. It was our honor. And, we did what we did for 10 years. And then it was time to move on into the next phase of our lives. And so I'm right up the hill, actually, in Desmore. So I'm still in the community. I'm still in La Crescenta. And, I still haven't figured it out, but it's not for me to figure it out. But as a reverend, it makes sense that I would be at a sanctuary or a church at the Center for Spiritual Living of La Crescenta, that is where I am. Thank you, God. I have a new home. I have a new home, and I'm in a church, and I'm scratching my head, going like, what happened here? But so happy to be there, and it will reveal and unfold constantly on a day-to-day basis. So I am grateful, very grateful.
Now, you recently went to Idaho, or was it Idaho?
No. Boise, Idaho. Yes.
Boise, Idaho. Tell me about that trip, because I know that was like a spiritual adventure for you. I mean, going anywhere for me is a spiritual adventure. Going to 7-Eleven is a spiritual adventure, but this is Idaho. This is Boise, Idaho, and just, I can't imagine the beauty and the splendor there. And what was that like for you? And I don't want to say what you got out of it, because I know what you got out of it, but
no, it was an amazing revelation, because I have a couple, a husband and wife again. And I actually officiated their wedding in that center, in our studio there, Body and Soul and Catalina Boutique. And they wanted their wedding, and their wedding was shamanic in nature. They exchanged stones and crystals as opposed to a ring. So Lorian and Luana, they were clients of mine for years, but each time they were on the table, and this was separately as I was massaging them, progressively, every time I would meet with them, they were speaking of this vision. They had a vision that they wanted to move to, to a place that had a cabin and a fireplace and a running river right in front. And, some of these things sounded a little outlandish to me, but that was their vision. And then about 2 years to 3 years, that's exactly what happened. They manifested a home in Boise, Idaho, right by a river that runs right in front of them. And I thought, well, golly, if they did that, I need to go see what that looks like. I needed to go touch the stone. I needed to go be with them and be in that space that we had envisioned together, that they had envisioned, and then welcomed me into their vision to be a witness to that. And so my husband and I rented a car and drove straight for 14 hours, because it takes 14 hours. And my husband is an adventurer, and he's a cyclist. So every mountain, he's just kept him occupied with, like, could I ride that? If I brought my bike, could I ride that? And I was just like, I want to get from point A to point B. So we made a really good traveling couple, and I learned so much on this journey. But what was beautiful, it was to be with them in that home that they had manifested. Or to be with couples who say, I want to get married, or people who say, I'm seeking love. And then they text me and they'll say, I found him or her. And because most of my clients have been with me for over 20 years, I mean, granted, I have some people who come all the way from Germany who once lived here. So I've got some loyal clients, and I get to see them grow, and I get to see them flourish with their dreams and their aspirations, and then their children. If they wanted to be pregnant at one time and now they're pregnant, and I see their children and I get to see the children, grow as well, then, this place that I am at is amazing. Not just healing and helping, but, manifesting. And one of my greatest gifts is praise. I know how to praise. I know how to uplift. And I know how to turn something that seems terrible into something that is wonderful. One of the guests you said that you're going to be having is Marsh Engel. And Marsh Engel just recently taught me something about anger. So when you get a chance, ask her to expound on that if she will. I think she will, because she knows how to take emotions and turn them into something juicy. So kind of like what I do, kind of like what you do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my journey to Idaho and back, and And amazing things happened while I was there too. So, but that's for another time, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So, you've seen a lot of healers of different modalities come and go. And, and I mean, like, people from like the brightest light, and there's people who like that dark healing stuff, and which is fine. There's nothing wrong with any of it. It just, some of it I don't get, and that's one of the things that's really impressed me about you, and the people that surround you are of all ilks, they're of all walks of spiritual healing. Even if you don't think it's spiritual, there's always somebody. I've only been doing this I've been doing it longer, but really doing what I do for the last 5 years. And I started on a path 25 years ago this week, and that was different. But in the last 5 years, the people and this is why I wanted to do this show, the people who surround me have become so important in my life. My father's passed away. My uncles and aunts I never see, but I don't go to them for advice or for spiritual matters or for these kinds of talks on about going inside and being about love and being with self and learning and nurturing and growing. I come to people like you. I come to people like me where water seeks its own level. That's what I'll say. Water seeks its own level. And man, I just, I'm trying to figure, how do you soak that up? How do you want to be friends with everybody. You want to maintain contact with everybody, but that's just impossible. Especially with social media. Those few people that I respond to, and you're one of the people I respond to always because of our beautiful relationship. And for those who are listening, it's the spiritual relationships that have really helped to create the person or recreate the person I am and step into my being of who I've always been. And nobody in my circles takes away from me in any way. Even if there's people I don't speak to anymore, or even if there was maybe an ill thought or something, maybe somebody doesn't like me as much as I thought they did, it doesn't matter. There's so many teachers surrounding us. And that is what this is about. This isn't so much about healing, but it's in the me too. It's in the relating, in how we relate through our stories and our sharing, and through the medicines of sharing and the stories. And you and I seem to be telling stories all the time when we're walking. And for those of you who experience that, find yourself a partner that understands what you're talking about and where you're going or where you want to be, and share with that person. I have a special relationship with Emma and her husband Mike, because he rides his bike as Emma and I are walking. He's lapped 100 times. Because we walk slow and he rides that bike. And he's a healer in and of himself, and I don't even know if he knows that, but yeah, I just wanted to speak to that again, in the importance of surrounding oneself with people who are like lights.
Yeah. Well, I would like to speak to a little portion of that.
Okay.
What I've learned about addiction is that the opposite of addiction is connection.
Oh.
And shame, blame, fear, sadness, self-loathing, things of that nature keep us isolated. And if we're doing something, whether it's drinking or doing drugs or eating or shopping or porn, whatever it is, if we are doing these things, there's a sense of, isolation, you're ashamed. But the reason I can say it so openly, and I don't know if it's okay to say it on your radio station, the words I just used, but, whenever someone is able to say that to me, some of that taboo just dissipates.
Yes.
You know, the power that we gave these words or we gave these addictions seem to melt in the presence when you're standing or sitting with someone who can just like look at you and like and what's your point? You know, I love you anyway, or I see you. I've been gifted to be able to see your soul. I've had family members, you know, I see your soul and I hold that to be the truth of you. Now, the rest of you is your personality and your environment and your teachings, your upbringing, your BS, which I mean belief systems. But the truth of the matter is when I can see that and I hold that light, because that is God, that is good. And I'll hold it like, you know, a kid flying a kite. Until you're ready to run with it, then I am here to just hold that for you because that's the truth of who you are. And I had to find that truth for myself because I didn't believe it either. And then cancer came along and said, okay, chickadee, you thought you wanted to die because you couldn't cope, and now here's your opportunity. Do you want to live or do you want to die? So you guys know the answer to that because I'm still here. But connect with someone that you trust. Be vulnerable. Speak your truth, how painful it is, and then don't let that own you. Don't let that take up residency in your physicality because then it becomes something else. It becomes a disease.
Oh.
Yeah.
Disease.
Yes.
You know, thank you for saying that. Where God has put me in a place, Great Spirit has put me in a place where I get to interact with people who are seeking a better health, better living. I'll say it that way.
Yes.
And one of the things that I realized, and you talked about the soul, a lot of people live in their heads, and they that's where they escape to. And what they don't realize is when they escape, they start to manifest that disease in their body. And I was speaking to a woman last night who has eczema on her hands and her arms. Oh, hands and arms are fifth chakra, you know, and what is it? And I read her on the spot, and I told her one of the things that I do is I help you come out of the darkness of your mind to come back into your body, into your soul. Your mind is not in your head. Your head is your brain. Your mind is out here in the ether, you know, out with your soul, with your aura, with your auric field. And I said, tell them, I help you to come back into your soul. Let go and let good. Let go and let God. And as I spoke to her and as I read her, and I found out that she had to move quickly because of an ex-husband who there was some issue, you know, violent issues there with this guy, and she wasn't talking about it, and it was showing up as eczema. And I walked through the breathing exercise that we just did twice, that we're going to do again before the show ends today. I walked her through that exercise, and she understood every step that I took her through with regard to the chakras. She didn't know anything about the chakras, so I gave her a little education with regard to the chakras and the breath and how that works. And she stopped and she looked at me. She said, "You have an incredible gift." And I thought, I have an incredible gift that I get to share, that I just gave to her, to come into her soul, to help her do that. And I hope she calls me to let me know how she's doing, or if she wants a session, whatever the case may be. I hope she reaches out and says, you know what, wow, that was helpful. And she told me last night, so this soul is so, and we overestimate the soul as religious. You know, we hear soul, and oh, no, you know, the dogma. No, it doesn't have to be that. We can be in and of ourselves, in our soul, in our mind, and in peace, embracing those issues, whether they're sexual, physical, verbal abuse, those things. Once we come into the fact that, okay, they happen. The reality is that happened. It's not happening anymore. And we embracing it in a different way instead of avoiding it, because it's the avoidance, I think, that causes the disease. the not giving to yourself. You know, the me, what I talk about, me first always, you first always. You know, you can't give away what you haven't got. You know, so going in, taking care of oneself is of the utmost importance, and it's not selfish, but it's selfless for those around you. You know, that I'm hoping they would be grateful that you would do that for yourself, and that you were able to extend it out towards them and share that gift with them, because it's such a healing mechanism to do that. And that's one of the things that you've taught me, and that I've learned over the last 5 years of doing what it is that I do. And I didn't start out, I didn't know this is what it was going to be. You know? So, and saying that, let's go ahead and stand still for a second, and let's go into our bodies and close our eyes, and let's take that deep breath. That first breath right into, past the lungs, down into the sternum, stoking the fire, and down into the feet. Let's take that breath now. Inhale and exhale, stoking that fire, esteem, fuego, fire. One more time, take a breath and exhale. And one more time, inhale. All right. Well, we're coming into the last 4 minutes of the show, and I want to remind everybody that my name's Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, and this is the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. And our special guest today, our most special and lovely guest today, is Reverend Emma Molina-ynequez, friend, teacher, master, shaman. And I love expressing it and naming you in that way, because for me, that's what it is. And Emma, before we go, tell our audience how they can reach you if they want to talk to you, or they want to come to see you as a healer, or in any capacity.
Sure. The best way to reach me is through Facebook. I have 3 pages. Body and Soul is one of them. Reverend Emma for the officiant and other things, ceremonies, and also Emma Molina-ynequez on Facebook. I find this to be a great tool for me. My phone number, all my information is on all these pages. So all you have to do is click, go to Facebook, be my friend, or view me however you want to, and then you can reach me that way. I'm available for massage at the Center for Spiritual Living in La Crescenta, and that phone number is 818-621-1037. So thank you.
All right. And once again, my name is Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, and Emma is also known as Lady Eagle Feather and Crow Mother. And if you need to reach me and want to reach out to me and get a 20-minute free consultation, please, you can call me at area code 818-442-1717, or you can reach me at my email address at anthony@sacreddrummedicine.com, or you can find me through Facebook through Anthony Rodriguez, or through Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine. Emma, this has been an incredible day for me, and I'm really glad that you said yes. And I believe that it's in our yeses, and the Bible says, and this isn't about religion, let your yes be yes and your no be known. And I'm thankful that you said yes when I walked into your studio. I'm thankful you said yes when I started to teach my classes there. I'm thankful that you said yes when you showed up to all my events. And I'm thankful that you had said yes every day to our friendship and to saying yes to this show today. And I want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any last words?
I'm sorry, what is that?
Any last words before we head out into the ethers today?
Yeah, I'd like to end with something that I learned a long time ago in a vitamin book. I don't know the name of the vitamin book, but it said, health is not only the absence of illness and disease, but the presence of joy. Joy and laughter, fun, is that play in us that we need. So find balance, play, but not just work, but include play in all you do. So thank you. Be well. Be well.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Reverend Emma Molina-ynequez, my special guest and friend. And I want to thank her again. My name is Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, and this has been the Sacred Drum Medicine Show, the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. And I'd like to thank my producer, Tiffany White, one more time for being awesome like she is. And you folks have a great day, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Why does getting to the airport have to be such a dilemma? Driving, parking, finagling a ride. Well, if you take Uber, it doesn't. It's easy. Just install the Uber app. Enter your destination, confirm your location, and within minutes, a car will pick you up. Whether you're catching the red eye or taking off at the crack of dawn, you can request a ride 24/7. So avoid the hassle. Install the Uber app now and take your first ride today. Uber, the better way to get there.